With an almost immediate Batman reboot announced shortly after the release of The Dark Knight Rises, it feels like Christopher Nolan's trilogy of Batman movies are quickly being forgotten. It would be a real shame if they were, as despite the fact that many franchise films took the dark gritty route after the initial success of the series, the Nolan Dark Knight trilogy still kinda stands out as this anomaly in comic book movies. While some criticisms have arisen after the initial dust cleared of each film's release, the Dark Knight trilogy is still a fantastic series of films, containing 2 brilliant movies, and 1 very good movie.
Sorry.
It's no secret that one of the many great features of these films is the detail and nuance that went into many of the characters in each film. Not just the villains and Bruce Wayne himself, but many of the supporting characters brought a lot to the plate too. One of the finest characters in these films is Jim Gordon, played perfectly by Gary Oldman. While there's plenty of debate as to who the best Batman was, best Alfred, Joker, or any other character in the Batman mythos, I for one think Gary Oldman's portrayal of Commissioner Gordon surpasses all other on-screen versions of the character. One of the most interesting things about Gordon in the Nolan trilogy is the arc that takes place over all 3 films. While it's not all that complicated, it's worth noting how certain brief moments placed in each film form a simple story of their own. This mainly revolves around Gordon's relationship with Batman and Bruce Wayne, which Gordon is unaware are the same person, until the final scenes of The Dark Knight Rises. In this video, I will explore Jim Gordon's arc, and discuss the various interactions and the relationship Gordon has with Bruce Wayne and Batman. In each film, Jim Gordon typically has little interaction with Bruce Wayne, not counting any time Bruce is under the guise of Batman. For the sake of argument, let's say that Gordon only speaks to Bruce Wayne once in each film. The first being in Batman Begins when Gordon comforts a young Bruce Wayne after the murder of his parents, the second being a rather brief and seemingly incidental conversation Gordon has with Bruce in The Dark Knight after Bruce crashes his Lamborghini. And finally, and this is kind of cheating, Gordon speaks to Bruce right before he carries the giant atomic bomb out of Gotham City at the end of The Dark Knight Rises. I realize Bruce is Batman at this scene, but it is this moment that Wayne reveals his true identity to Gordon, and like I said, I'm rounding things off just for the sake of argument. So let's look at what's really happening in each scene, starting with the first. So shortly after the tragic death of his parents, a very young Bruce Wayne is left sitting in a police station. Obviously this is a pivotal moment for the character and the jumping off point that begins his transformation into Batman, self-tasked with avenging and eradicating the crime element of Gotham City that caused the loss of his parents. In this brief scene, Jim Gordon, seemingly not even a lieutenant at this point, awkwardly attempts to comfort Bruce and hopelessly repeats the words, "It's okay," incapable of offering any more help. This moment is in place as a means of Bruce first seeing that Gordon is one of the few uncorrupted cops in Gotham City, as he begins to contact Gordon shortly before donning the cape and cowl, but there's a little more to the scene as it concludes with Commissioner Loeb's exchange with Bruce.
Hey. Good news. We got him, son.
Like I said, this scene is pivotal to the character Bruce Wayne. At this moment he has 2 paths set before him. Putting it very broadly, Gordon represents hope, and Loeb represents vengeance. To Bruce, the image of hope is, well, it's uncomfortable. Gordon is awkward. He stutters, and admittedly is a little overly familiar with an extremely shocked and vulnerable Bruce Wayne. Not only that, Gordon has little confidence and fails to offer Bruce anything solid or finite to help him. As compassionate and caring as he is, he's left with nothing to say. Meanwhile, Loeb keeps a strong distance to Bruce, smiling confidently, and giving him the news that the man who killed his parents has been arrested. An empty gesture really, but a solid statement that the guilty criminal is getting what's coming to him. A clever background detail worth noting in Bruce's morning scene also is the paparazzi being held back by the police, a reference to Bruce's celebrity as the heir to the Wayne fortune. Focusing on Bruce for a bit, let's look at how the representations of both these options affect him. Because of the stronger and more confident image of vengeance, he takes this path. 14 years pass, and Bruce plots to avenge his parents by murdering Joe Chill in cold blood, not to mention in public too. Seconds before Bruce attempts to kill Joe, another assassin intervenes, saving Bruce from tipping over into the deep end and becoming a murderer. Joe's assassination is on behalf of Carmine Falcone, a gangster of which Joe Chill offered the authorities information. Joe's assassination shows Bruce that evil begets evil, and so after repenting to Rachel Dawes and being judged for his intentions, Bruce regresses to the paths that were originally laid before him, opting for the high road rather than the low road of vengeance. The high road leads him to get away from Gotham and escape his celebrity ties, his pain and loss, and the shame of his vengeful intentions.
Now you think, because your mommy and your daddy got shot, you know about the ugly side of life, but you don't. You've never tasted desperate. You're Bruce Wayne, the Prince of Gotham. You'd have to go 1,000 miles to meet someone who didn't know your name. So don't come down here with your anger.
Abroad, he grows a beard, becomes a ninja, and returns to Gotham to become Batman. And in doing so, he begins a partnership with Jim Gordon. So, what if Bruce came into contact with Gordon not just because he comforted him as a child, but also after pursuing vengeance, he realized that the better path that the two laid before him was hope, the path that Gordon represented to him. To be hopeful, and not act selfishly, and focus on bettering the world as Rachel does, instead of simply taking an eye for an eye. A change that Bruce Wayne goes through in Batman Begins is that he edges near being corrupted by the darkness of Gotham City, but instead rises above it, believing in providing a more hopeful future for his home, despite what he had lost.
I'm no executioner.
Your compassion is a weakness your enemies will not share.
That's why it's so important. It separates us from them.
Meanwhile, Jim Gordon's change in the first film is not dissimilar, but goes about a different way. After his first appearance moments after Bruce's loss, we don't see Gordon again until years later, when Bruce returns. Over the 14 years, we see that Gordon has become colder and hardened by the city, and while he maintains an ethical code for himself, he's lost faith in effecting change for Gotham City.
Don't suppose you want to taste. Just keep offering, thinking maybe someday you'll get wise.
There's nothing wise in what you do, Flash.
Well, Jimbo, you don't take the taste. Makes us guys nervous.
I'm no rat. In a town this big, who's that a rat to anyway?
This begins to turn around the night that Falcone is finally taken down by Batman. When the police arrive, note how Gordon reacts.
Falcone's men?
Does it matter? We'll never turn to it anyway.
I wouldn't be too sure of that.
What the hell is that?
Cut him down.
He sees this takedown as an empty gesture, knowing that without Falcone at the scene, no change will be effected, until he realizes that Falcone is there too. His reaction is complete shock and disbelief, having once lost faith, and now having his lack of faith contradicted, leaving him speechless. It's a powerful moment.
Unacceptable. Now, I don't care if it's rival gangs, guardian angels, or the goddamn Salvation Army. Get them off the street and off the front page.
They say it was just one guy. Or a creature.
Or some asshole in a costume. Yeah.
This guy did deliver us one of the city's biggest crime lords.
No one takes the law into their own hands in my city. Understand?
Before moving on to The Dark Knight, I want to just touch on the final scene of Batman Begins, within which Gordon and Batman discuss the state of Gotham City. They do this standing next to the new bat signal placed by Gordon and inspired by the night he saw Falcone tied to a spotlight and he first started to see change in Gotham.
Nice.
Gordon comments on the change that Batman has started but expresses doubts over the immediate tasks that are ahead of him. Batman assures Gordon that things will be okay.
I couldn't find any mob bosses.
Well, Sergeant.
Oh, it's Lieutenant now. You really started something. Bad cops running scared. Hope on the streets.
But
The Narrows is lost. I still haven't picked up Crane or half the inmates of Arkham that he freed.
we will. We can bring Gotham back.
Very similar to the book Batman Year One, there's a clever allusion to the Joker, setting things up for the sequel, and right before Batman leaves, the two exchange the final lines of the film.
I never said thank you.
And you'll never have to.
Okay, let's look at The Dark Knight. As mentioned, Gordon and Wayne speak to one another briefly after Bruce crashes his Lamborghini to save Coleman Reese. Bruce claims to be unaware of who he is, avoiding to blow his cover, and also pretends to be unaware of a bomb scare on all hospitals in Gotham City, declared by the Joker. Now, unlike the scene noted in Batman Begins, this scene is not pivotal for the development of either the characters Bruce Wayne or Jim Gordon. It does, however, affirm Gordon's view of Bruce Wayne, similar to the rest of the city, as Bruce has prevented suspicion of his vigilante activity by creating the public persona of Bruce Wayne as an arrogant playboy, living off of his vast inheritance, and living a life of extravagant luxury. This is the only scene in The Dark Knight, though, within which Jim Gordon and Bruce Wayne speak, without Wayne being Batman, that is. What's interesting in this scene is how Gordon speaks to Wayne.
That's Mr. Wayne, isn't it? That's a very brave thing you did.
Trying to catch the light?
Well, you weren't protecting the van.
Why? Who's in it? You think I should go to the hospital?
You don't watch a whole lot of news, do you, Mr. Wayne?
He kind of talks to him like he's a child. It makes a lot of sense why he would, not just because he first met Bruce when he was little, but also because, as far as he knows, Bruce hasn't grown up since then, having been spoiled by his inheritance. Or conceivably because of arrested development due to losing his parents. It's interesting when you think about how disappointed Gordon must be to see the kid he once tried to help in a dark time grow up to become such an ignorant and selfish person, as though his attempts to counsel him meant nothing. To Gordon, not only had the cops become corrupt, but the rich and privileged were doing nothing to help either, Bruce being just another arrogant billionaire. Not only that, he's a new generation of arrogant wealth, creating a sense of even less hope. Moving quickly ahead to The Dark Knight Rises, there's the moment between Gordon and Batman, when, right before Batman goes on a seemingly suicidal mission, he alludes to his true identity, referring to the moment when Gordon first comforted him as a child.
I never cared who you were. And you were right. But shouldn't the people know the hero who saved them? A hero can be anyone, even a man doing something as simple and reassuring as putting a coat around a young boy's shoulders to let him know the world hadn't ended.
Bruce Wayne.
So, what's in these three moments that's so important? Well, each point consistently continues the arc that Gordon goes through across the whole trilogy. His arc is that in the beginning, he's a man who is losing faith and hope. While still hopeful, he does a good deed, in attempting to comfort someone who has lost their grip on the world. Then, later in life, Gordon has his hope restored by, from his perspective, a mysterious figure, who effects a change in the world that Gordon had given up on happening. Staggered by the sacrifices this figure makes, he finally confronts him in what is most likely the last time they'll speak, and insists that the world deserves to know who did these great things. The figure tells him that he is the boy that Gordon once helped when he was lost, and Gordon learns that, although it took some time, a good deed he once did made a difference in the world, and he was rewarded for it in a way he never imagined. Dramatic, but pretty cool. As noted, at the end of Batman Begins, the last two lines uttered are as follows.
I never said thank you.
And you'll never have to.
I remember first seeing this film and thinking what a great line this was to end the film on. It's a bit corny, but it's a great deep way of Gordon thanking Batman, and Batman saying you're welcome. But when you look at the final moment Gordon and Bruce have in The Dark Knight Rises, it seems like this isn't exactly what's being said between the two. Really, Gordon isn't saying thank you, but telling Batman he doesn't know how to thank him. And unbeknownst to Gordon, Bruce means to say, it's not you who should be thanking me, but me who should be thanking you. It's this kind of character detail, amongst many other elements throughout these three films, that makes this series so superior and gives it longevity. And while it's true that the third film, The Dark Knight Rises, wasn't as strong as Batman Begins or The Dark Knight, it still contains some really good storytelling and clever detail.
No one's ever gonna know who saved an entire city.
They know. It was the Batman.
But let me know what you think, and feel free to leave comments about this or any other Batman movie.
But don't think of me as an idiot.
Thanks for watching.